Going to give you an overview of this article. Andrew Tate is now free, as is his brother, Tristan Tate, as are two Romanian women that were also arrested alongside Andrew and Tristan on December the 19th, on December the 29th. Their names are Luana Radu, 32 years of age, and Georgina Nagel, 28 years of age. So I believe Luana and Georgina worked closely with Andrew and Tristan. The four of them were arrested again December 29th on suspicion of several offences and forming an organised group to exploit victims, the victims primarily being women, allegedly being forced to partake in sexual activities on webcam and things along those lines. So that's being classified in regards to alleged human trafficking. Also, the R word and crime gang offences. Are the four of them, are Andrew, Tristan, Luana and Georgina guilty of these allegations? We don't know. We've got no real way of knowing. They've all maintained their innocence, and there's been a lot of scrutiny thrown at this situation, and all of the evidence that has come out seems to be pretty weak in my mind. Part of that so-called evidence would be those items that were found within the home of Andrew and Tristan. I'm not sure if the two women also live in the same building as Andrew and Tristan. And in fact, I think Tristan has his own house somewhere else, but I think they both have multiple properties in any case. But anyway, the compound that they have in Bucharest was raided, and we did see photos of guns, knives, swords, knuckle dusters, and what seemed to be pills of some kind, a bag of pills. I would think illicit drugs, but I never read too much about that or anything at all. So, to be honest, it did look like they had the paraphernalia that one would expect from a criminal gang, but that in itself doesn't mean that they are running a criminal gang. These are young men that are into martial arts, Aikido being one of them. I'm not sure if Aikido involves swords, but yeah, I mean, they have swords. Anyway, I'm going to say, thankfully, Andrew and Tristan, as well as the two ladies, have been released after quite a long time. They've been incarcerated since December 29th, if I understand correctly. Andrew Tate, 36 years of age, has made a statement. He said that there's 0% chance of him being found guilty. Since last year, I've been in 24-hour lockdown, no yard time. He's been pacing a 3-meter cell with 0 electronics or outside contact. Absolute clarity of mind, real thoughts, real plans, vivid pain. 1 hour home and I can't stand my phone. Some habits die hard. We must defeat Shaitan. Shaitan is an Islamic term for the devil. So those are his immediate words. I like Andrew Tate. I think he's a philosopher. I think we're all philosophers, or I think a lot of us are philosophers to some extent or other. We each have our own philosophies, plural, on life. But he's a deep thinker. Am I saying he's an absolute genius? No. But he's smarter than me. He's smarter than you. And he's given a lot of subjects a lot of thought. I don't think he's particularly well read. I think he stated that he doesn't read books, nor do I, by the way. He finds them too boring and a waste of time. Same with me. I just can't push myself through to read books. But despite that, he's given a lot of complex concepts, a lot of thought, and even if he is at least somewhat derivative of other public speakers, I would say notably Dr. Jordan Peterson, even if he is somewhat derivative of others, that's fine. That's fine. And frankly, in my experience, a lot of the social commentators out there, including the very prominent ones, are very repetitive. They all talk about the same subjects. They all come up with the same points. They all, pardon the French, suck each other off. You know, they learn from each other. So, I don't know, once you've heard one of them, you've heard them all. I used to listen to a lot of social commentators and I just got bored at a certain point. They're all talking about the same subjects ad nauseum. Okay, we get it. All right, yeah, you make some good points. And I would also add to that a certain amount of brainwashing does occur. If you talk about a subject long enough, it's going to make that subject appear to be extremely important, perhaps more important than it really ought to be. I think what Andrew Tate is partially saying in his brief but pointed statement is that he feels that he has disconnected from social media, from the outside world, and he has spent a great deal of his time in incarceration thinking and planning real thoughts, he says. is I believe him. I believe he's developed his skill of thinking and he's explored certain topics in depth, and he would have come out a lot stronger than when he went in mentally. I would guess the same could be said for Tristan, who also gave a short statement. So he said, "I just want to say the judges today made the right decision. I respect what they've done for me and they will be vindicated in their decision because I am an innocent man and I can't wait to prove it." So perhaps not quite as philosophical or grandstanding, but I'm happy personally as a fan of these boys that they are both in good spirits. I did see a thread on the internet yesterday which seemed to be stating that Andrew Tate had been physically attacked within the jail by guards as well as other inmates, perhaps multiple times. So physically attacked, and also insinuations that he had been sexually violated, which I hope and pray was not the case. I mean, that's a terrible thing to happen to anybody. I only became aware of Andrew Tate, probably, I don't know, 6 months ago or so, maybe not even, through YouTube shorts and such. He became very, very popular on TikTok. We just see little snippets that he has to say, but I've listened to several in-depth, long-form interviews with Andrew, and I find him very intelligent and funny. I like his general approach. He's accused, of course, of being a misogynist, and can't we all be accused of this, that, and the other? Aren't we all accused of being a bigot in one form or another? Unless we're to be absolutely tolerant of absolutely everything at all times. And in so doing, some believe would be ushering in Satan, the devil. So Andrew also said, "I have no resentment in my heart for the country of Romania or anyone else. I just believe in the truth. I believe in God, and the fire of truth will eventually destroy all lies, and anybody who lies on a long enough time frame will feel the sting of regret, and I believe in this." I've got to say, if those comments, if that statement is off the cuff, and perhaps it isn't, perhaps it was prepared, he had plenty of time to prepare it, but if that is off the cuff, he is very well spoken. I like how he speaks. It's with power. Andrew and Tristan are warriors. They boldly call themselves, boast about themselves as being warriors, and I support that. Why can't men be warriors? Why can't we be warriors of some sort? I believe I've got the soul of a warrior, but that was never evoked from me. I was never trained to act like a warrior in any sense. I reckon it's still deep inside me, but it's been softened to the point that it's pretty much ineffective at this point. But Andrew and Tristan, they evolved their inner warrior. Andrew became 4 times kickboxing champion, world kickboxing champion. Tristan became European kickboxing champion, I believe. These are powerful men, I believe. So I do hope that they're innocent. I suspect that they're innocent. And I believe that they are a positive influence on those that listen to them, which notably are young men. I've got to say, if young men connect with Andrew and Tristan to the extent that seemingly they do, then Andrew and Tristan must be saying things or portraying things that click with the young boys. There's nothing inherently wrong with that. In fact, I would suspect there's something inherently extremely positive about that. And I would suspect that the meteoric rise of Andrew and Tristan Tate is due in part, not completely, but in part due to the vacuum of other masculine figures to look up to. You wind the clock back a few decades, people looked up to Clint Eastwood and that other guy that I can't remember, get off your horse and drink your damn milk or whatever it was, that guy, John Wayne, and then it rolled into Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jean-Claude Van Damme. We've had some masculine figures to look up to. Where is it nowadays? I can't really think of too many people. UFC, perhaps that's why Conor McGregor has been so massively popular, because there's not that many other truly masculine role models. We've all been, pardon the phrase, pussified. We're all fucking weak, almost all of us. So I like Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate. I find them funny. They're funny people, Andrew in particular. And I would say they're funny just because they're fucking around. It's no more complicated than that. It's not like genius humor that they're coming up with, but they are genuinely funny just because they're fucking around. They're smart people fucking around. And with that, you get good quality humor. And there's very little of that around, which is a real shame. I personally don't like the whole sexual side of things. I think it's not me, don't get me wrong. I like attractive women, blah, blah, of course. But I don't know. They talk about sleeping with hundreds, thousands of women all the time and how to make women fall in love with you and all of this kind of thing. That kind of thing rubs me up the wrong way. I don't like that personally. But of course, they shouldn't be kept in jail if they are innocent, and they've been released on house arrest. So they've got to stay in the compound, I believe. Perhaps Tristan can stay in his separate home, however it works. But fundamentally, the investigation is going to continue, but they are allowed to be home. They probably won't be allowed to leave Romania, despite them both having multiple passports. So, hopefully they are vindicated. Anyway, that's what I've got to say about it. I guess I use this as an excuse to ramble about my thoughts on the Tate brothers. Haven't thought about them too much recently. Again, when these things are in the social media, you think about them, and when they're not in your face, you don't. But this is something I'm pleased to see that they have been released.